In the vast and silent ocean between the stars, a lonely traveler continues its eternal drift. Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object in history, glides through interstellar space, farther from Earth than any other machine ever built. It is silent, cold, and ancient, and yet, somehow, still alive. For over 45 years, this spacecraft has defied the odds. It has outlasted its creators. It has pushed beyond every limit, carrying with it the hopes of a species searching for its place in the cosmos. And then, it sent a signal. A message that should not exist. Not a routine status update, not telemetry. But something else. Something strange, erratic, and profoundly unexplainable. What Voyager 1 recently transmitted has shaken even the most seasoned scientists at NASA to their core. What could be lurking beyond the heliopause, the invisible boundary where our solar wind meets the pressures of the galaxy? Could this be a glitch, or something far more disturbing? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear might reshape how we see the universe, and our place within it. Launched on September 5, 1977, Voyager 1 began its journey with a relatively humble mission: observe Jupiter and Saturn, take photographs, and send data back to Earth. It completed that task with excellence. But then, instead of fading into the void like so many other probes, Voyager did something no one expected. It endured. Fueled by a nuclear power source and guided by a 3.7-meter-wide high-gain antenna, Voyager 1 kept moving. Past Uranus. Past Neptune. Beyond the pull of our sun's magnetic breath. It crossed into true interstellar space in August 2012, more than 18 billion kilometers from home at the time. Today, it is over 22 billion kilometers away. And yet, from that incomprehensible distance, it still whispers to us, faint radio signals captured by the Deep Space Network, telling stories of plasma waves, cosmic rays, and the dark sea beyond. Then came May of last year. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was monitoring Voyager's Attitude Articulation and Control System, the AACS. This system ensures Voyager's antenna remains pointed precisely at Earth. Without it, communication would be lost. But suddenly, the AACS began behaving strangely. It started sending back garbled telemetry. The data was incoherent, nonsensical. It didn't add up. Yet, somehow, everything else was working fine. The antenna was still locked onto Earth. The signal remained strong. Instruments continued returning good science data. It was as if Voyager had suffered a stroke, a breakdown in internal communication, but still spoke fluently through another part of its brain. That alone was puzzling. But then came the real twist. The corrupted telemetry was being routed through a computer subsystem that had been declared non-functional years ago. Dead systems don't come back online. They don't suddenly begin talking. But Voyager's did. NASA's engineers were baffled. They worked for weeks, long nights, deep dives into decades-old technical manuals, until finally, they issued a command to reroute the AACS data back through its original path. The error stopped. The garbled signals disappeared. Voyager was, once again, transmitting normally. But the question remains: why did it happen at all? There was no solar storm. No nearby supernova. No meteoroid collision. The command logs showed no human error. It was as if the spacecraft made the decision on its own, or was influenced by something external. Some suggested a bit flip, a common enough occurrence where radiation causes a single 1 or 0 in a computer's memory to flip, leading to unexpected behavior. Others considered aging hardware, dormant circuits misfiring, or cosmic rays triggering a forgotten failsafe. But there was no precedent for this specific kind of glitch. And then more theories emerged, ideas that left the realm of engineering and entered something stranger. What if Voyager hadn't just experienced an internal fault? What if it encountered something? Since then, the spacecraft has continued its operations. But the incident left NASA uneasy. Why didn't Voyager's fault protection systems engage? How did a non-operational computer come to life, perfectly, just long enough to reroute critical data. This is no longer theoretical. Voyager is now outside the heliosphere, in the true interstellar medium. It's exposed to raw galactic radiation, unseen magnetic fields, and possibly, phenomena we can't even name. It's our scout, a lone ambassador charting the unknown. Then, a few weeks after the glitch, the mystery deepened. Voyager's plasma wave instrument, designed to detect fluctuations in charged particles, recorded something odd. A brief, rhythmic spike. A pulse. Then another. Then nothing. It wasn't random noise. It wasn't static. It was deliberate. Precise. Timed. Analysts checked everything: solar activity, background radiation, interference. Nothing matched. And when they tried to locate the source in the raw telemetry, it had vanished. As if it had never been there at all. They called it a phantom event, data that felt real but left no trace. A ghost in the machine. That was when scientists began digging deeper. They reanalyzed every signal Voyager had sent since the incident. Not just the obvious science data, but the hum of the carrier wave, the fluctuations in signal strength, the quiet noise in the background. And what they found was stunning. Buried deep within the signal, too faint to detect without advanced tools, were repeating micropatterns. Harmonics. Rhythms. Sequences. The kind of repetition that doesn't occur naturally. Too orderly to be static. Too subtle to be dismissed. One NASA engineer described it like this: "It's as if something is tapping from the other side of a wall we didn't know existed." AI models trained to find patterns and chaos were fed the data. They didn't return confusion, they returned recognition. Structure. Syntax. It wasn't noise. It might be a message. This has sent ripples through the scientific community. For decades, humanity has tried to contact extraterrestrial life. We've beamed radio signals, sent out messages encoded in mathematics and music. We placed a golden record on Voyager itself, a greeting to the universe. But what if something finally responded? NASA's protocols for alien contact were designed for unmistakable signs, bursts of prime numbers, mathematical constants, or signals from known stars. This was none of that. It was a whisper. A nudge. A shadow behind the curtain. So now the question becomes, what counts as first contact? Does it have to be a clear language? A reply in binary or pulses? Or, could it begin with a glitch? If Voyager encountered something, and that something chose to respond in a way that subtly interfered with its systems, not to destroy or hijack, but to interact, then we may already be in a conversation we don't recognize. The implications are staggering. What if this was just the beginning? What if other probes, or even future human missions, encounter the same? And what if the silence that followed was intentional? The phantom pulses have stopped. The plasma readings are back to normal. Voyager, by all metrics, is behaving perfectly. But maybe that's the real anomaly. As one physicist put it, sometimes the loudest message is the silence that follows a scream. Voyager continues its endless voyage. Drifting farther into the black. Still listening. Still transmitting. But now, there's a new tension behind every signal. A sense that something, or someone, might be out there, just beyond reach, watching quietly, waiting. We are standing on the edge of something unimaginable. A spacecraft older than the World Wide Web, powered by fading plutonium, and guided by 1970s technology, may have crossed a line we never even knew was there. It may have brushed up against an intelligence, not in the way we expected, but in the way the universe chooses to speak. Not with words, not with symbols, but with an unexplained anomaly. A breath in the data. A ghost in the wires. So now we must ask not, are we alone? But instead, did something just notice us? And if this was their whisper, what happens when they speak again?